Welcome back to the shop, guys. This is Jake with Jacoby and Company Woodworks, and today we are going to be making some cutting boards. Let's get it. So guys, I got some walnut and an offcut of some hickory, some 8/4 hickory in the rough. You can see it has some beautiful figure throughout this piece. Obviously this is in the rough. We're going to get this planed down. You'll be able to see that a little easier. I think I'm going to make two cutting boards. A cutting board video when you have a woodworking channel is kind of an obligatory video. I am told I won't get any subscribers until I have this video completed. So I imagine by tomorrow, after I post this, I'll probably have 100, 150,000 subscribers by then, which is cool. So anyhow, guys, we're gonna go ahead and glue up a walnut board. I think I'm gonna leave this one, I don't know. I'm either gonna leave this end grain or I'm gonna leave it long grain. I'm not sure yet. We'll get it into glue first and then we'll go from there. And then we'll go ahead and get this board here, the hickory, planed down. I think I'm gonna make this an end grain board for sure. So let's get over to the joiner. Let's go ahead and get some of this broke down and get started. So we're back at the bench, guys. I got the hickory all milled up. Went to the joiner first, got a face flat, flipped it up 90 degrees, got an edge jointed. That gave me a 90-degree reference point. I went ahead and took it over to the thickness planer since we're going to be gluing this up together to each other, and got it perfectly the same thickness here. Let's see what we're at. We're at 1 5/8". Got it to 1 5/8". It really doesn't matter at this point, whatever. Keep as much thickness as you can. And then I took it over to the table saw. I ripped two different size pieces. You'll see why. I'm trying to make a little bit of a pattern when we glue this up. So this one is 1 5/8" by 1 5/8", and this one is 3 3/4 by 1 5/8". So we'll go ahead, let's take this over to the chop saw. I want to get this into basically probably 4 pieces. We're going to cut these in half, and then we can come back here to the bench and get them glued up. All right, 47 inches. We're going to go ahead and mark out at 23.5 on both, and we'll get these cut. All right, we're back at the bench getting ready for glue up. Got all of our pieces laid out, got them chopped in half. So we have 4 pieces now, 2 wider, 2 thinner, and I got them laid out. I want to show you on the bottom here, I want to show you the grain orientation. You don't want all your grain going the same way. If you do that, so it's like a big arch, if all the grain lines up like that, then your piece will cup. It's guaranteed it's going to happen. So what I have here, I don't know if you can see that on camera, got the grain coming down. The next piece, the grain is coming up. The next piece, the grain goes on an arc downward. And on the last piece, the grain goes up again. So if you have to flip your piece around, turn it upside down, whatever you got to do in order to get your grain orientation, that way it fights against itself and it'll help keep itself flat. That's what's best to do in a glue up on any project. Especially on a big panel. So let's go ahead and get this piece glued up and get it in the clamps. Okay guys, we have our hickory board over in the clamps. It's all glued up, Titebond 3. Make sure you're using the Titebond 3. That's waterproof glue. Obviously it's a cutting board. You want to make sure that it doesn't come apart because of moisture on the board with Titebond 1 or 2. I'm not saying it will, but Titebond 3 is specifically formulated for moisture. So we got some wood laid out here. This is all scrap, guys. Just complete scrap. Drops from other projects, cut-offs, whatever it may be. But it's good to hang on to this stuff. Don't throw it in your burn bucket, throw it in the burning barrel or your wood burner to heat your shop. This can make you money. So this is all walnut. I got a couple pieces of bloodwood here. I got a really nice piece of yellow heart. It does have a knot in it. We'll go ahead and work around that. A beautiful piece of curly maple. It's one of my favorite woods, is curly maple. And I have a hunk of cherry here, 8/4 cherry. We'll go ahead and flatten that and probably resaw it on the bandsaw, so I'm not wasting all that. So I want to get this down. I'm looking for a board, guys, that's about 11 by 17. This stuff here is, we're about 17 and a half, 18 inches. So even if I get 11 by 16 or 12 by 16, that's a nice size cutting board. So let's break down these few pieces of rough cut. I'll take them to the joiner, flatten them, run it through the thickness planer, flatten the other side, and just get everything to kind of a uniform thickness so we can come back here to glue up. Okay guys, we're back at the bench. I got all the pieces cut, milled, planed, jointed, table sawed, not necessarily in that order. If you need a refresher on how to mill lumber, the steps involved in that, go back and look in my playlist there. I have a video on how to mill lumber. So anyhow, we have these laid out. This is the creative part, guys. You can kind of do whatever you want, whatever looks good to you, or whatever your customer is asking for. Maybe you really like walnut, not so much maple. One species to the other. Maybe you like the thicker pieces, not the thinner. Maybe you like the thinner, not the thicker. It's completely up to you. This is the fun part of woodworking. It's whatever you want, and if you don't like something, you can change it. So I have this kind of laid out how I want it. I think we're a little too fat. Yeah, we're at 14 inches right now. Let's go ahead and take these two pieces of cherry out. See what that does. Okay, we're at 12 and 3/8. So I think we're going to stick with that. And what I'll do, we'll get this glued up, get this into clamps, and then whenever it comes out, for me to get it down to 12 inches, the end pieces are rather thick right now. They're over an inch thick. I can take and cut them on the table saw and get them down a little bit thinner to get to my 12-inch mark, or 11.5, or whatever you want. I'll probably just leave it around 12 inches or 11.5. So let's go ahead and get some glue. This is going to take quite a bit. It's a good idea, guys, to put some reference marks on here. A lot of times guys will go ahead and do the triangle. That way, whenever you start flipping your pieces and putting glue on them, you kind of have an orientation and don't get messed up when they go back into order here. So we'll get that marked. Let's go ahead and get these flipped over, get glue on them, get them in clamps. Okay guys, we're back. We got the hickory board out of the clamps. Let's take it over to the planer and let's get her down to size. Okay guys, we got our piece all flat, both sides, nice and smooth. Like I said before, that helical head on the planer and joiner, they just do a phenomenal job getting this stuff flat and smooth. I'm going to take us over to the table saw behind us. I'm going to take my miter gauge, set the saw blade up high enough to get above the piece, square off an edge, and then what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and cut this. And what you want to figure out is, based off of the width of your piece, however far you end up cutting these for width, they're gonna rock up 90 degrees because it's an end grain. So instead of being, this is a flat grain board, you could finish this right now, make this a flat grain hickory cutting board. But we're gonna take it one step further to where we'll cut our piece off and we'll flip it up. And that'll make it an end grain. So the end grain is pointing up instead of the long grain. That's the difference between the two. So it's basically just one more step in the cutting board process. So let's go over to the table saw. We'll go ahead and set that fence up, and I'm gonna rip these. I already did the math. I'm gonna rip this at 1.5 inch wide strips, and we'll come back here after we have that and we'll go to the next step. Okay guys, we're back at the bench. Here's our board. I got all the pieces cut. And what we're gonna do is just take and flip them all up 90 degrees. Okay. Now every other one, we're gonna go ahead and flip 180 degrees. Save, flip, save, flip. Just work our way right down the way here. And this is going to establish a neat pattern. This is the reason, guys, why I ripped two pieces, 1 5/8 inch, I think it was, and then two pieces 3.5 inches. That gives you a little bit of a different design. Kind of squared up here. That'll give you an idea what our board's going to look like. Okay, let's go ahead and get the glue and clamps back out here, and we'll get this glued back up. Okay guys, so we have this all glued. Before I put the clamps on, I want to put a piece of wood on either end that's going to be junk. And the reason when you do that on an end grain board is when you run it through the planer after we pull it out of the clamps, it will split the ends of this wood off. And I'm actually going to use, I have two extra pieces of the glue up from the same piece here. And I'm going to put these on just to show you, obviously they're going to get cut back off, what happens when that runs through the planer. So let's go ahead and glue these on too while we're at it. And these will just be sacrificial. Okay, let's go ahead and throw this in some clamps and we'll set it aside to dry. Okay guys, we have our hickory board back in glue and clamps. We're gonna go ahead and give that a few hours to dry. We have our long grain board. We went ahead and pulled the clamps back off of it, and we're gonna take it over to the planer and see if we can get this down to, let's see where we're at. We are at 1.25 inches. I'm hoping to let it finish out at about 1 inch. It might be just shy of 1 inch. Some of these pieces were a little bit thinner, but let's see what we can end up getting out of it. Guys, this is looking really, really nice. That curl in the maple just really pops, and it contrasts with the bloodwood, and the yellow heart gives it some extra color. Even the colors in the walnut, almost, I don't know if any of you are fishermen, almost looks like the belly of a rainbow trout. If you're a fisherman, you know what I'm talking about with those colors. But let's go ahead and take this over. Before I cut it the length, I'm going to take this over and run it through the drum sander just to speed up that process. We'll run both sides through. Probably won't take more than 30 seconds off each side. Right now we are at 1 inch exactly, so that's fantastic. That's right where I want to be. Okay guys, we just finished sanding this board. I got the router table set up with a 1/4 inch roundover bit. I'm just gonna run this piece through on both sides, all 4 edges, and we're just gonna ease those corners off. Okay guys, we have our board on the bench, got it all sanded back, went 120, 180, water popped the whole thing, sanded it back to 180 again. So we are ready to go. Before we put finish on, I'm gonna go ahead and mark out and drill the feet. That way we can get some finish down inside of those holes as well, and it's not raw wood versus if we did it after. So let me just mark, I'm just gonna come in an inch both ways. Okay guys, for the finish, once again, white mineral oil, regular mineral oil. Make sure your mineral oil is food grade. There are different grades of mineral oil, but get food grade. Obviously it's a cutting board, so stands to reason. We'll just go ahead and put that on with a dry cloth. And you'll see this wood really start to stand out. This is one of my favorite parts of any cutting boards. That grain just pops right out at you. And again, guys, this oil will soak in, so we'll just keep spreading it around. You can see that maple is really sucking it in. I don't know if you can see that on camera. As fast as I can put it on, it's soaking it right in. So we'll go ahead and get a nice even coat on here. Go ahead and stand it up through the edges. I like to leave these sit on a towel. This is just extra towels out of the kitchen that my wife, when she buys new tea towels, I get the old ones. So works out good for projects, for finishes, etc. Let's get a little bit on this end. Okay. We'll go ahead and throw some triangles under here. These are really nice to buy, guys. They're just plastic triangles. I think I got them from Rockler. I'm sure you can get them online on probably just about anywhere. Again, don't be shy with the oil, it'll take it. See how that's just soaking in. Flip it back over. Do the other side again and just keep putting it on until it doesn't seem to want to take it anymore. Okay guys, obviously this is still wet. I just put the mineral oil on, but I just wanted to show you that grain. Look how beautiful that is. See down here on the end? Just gorgeous, gorgeous wood. Absolutely love it. So we'll give us a few minutes to soak that mineral oil in. We'll flip it over, put the feet on, and call this board done. Okay, let's finish this board up. We'll throw some rubber feet on. These are stainless, obviously, like everything else we've been doing in the kitchen products. You want to run them stainless. I don't know if you can see inside that rubber washer. It might be tough to see. There's metal inside of that. They sell these that are just rubber. I don't recommend them, guys, just the rubber feet. And the reason that is, those screws, after tightening them up over time of using that, those screws will pull right through that rubber. So try to get the rubber feet that have the metal as well. There it is, guys. One finished long grain board. Again, this was walnut, bloodwood, curly maple. We have some cherry in there and some yellow heart. It's always fun to make these boards. Again, use your imagination. Anything goes. Make it any size you want. Our board finished out 12 by 17. And that's a nice size. You can throw a couple pieces of steak on there or a full loaf of bread and be able to work with it. So this one's done. We'll be back very shortly and we'll finish up that hickory end grain board. Okay guys, I kind of sped that along. It's basically the same process we did with the long grain board. So I didn't want to bore you with that. So we're gonna go ahead, I already drilled the holes for the feet as well. This is the bottom side. I'm gonna go ahead and get some finish on here, and we can flip it over and get some on the top side. Now I love end grain boards. These things are just awesome when you put finish on them. You'll see this grain just start to really pop. Now again, this is all end grain. It's gonna soak this oil like crazy. I mean, it is. It's gonna just suck it right up. You gotta think about fibers of wood. They're just like straws. So honestly, if you ever wanna do a little experiment, I've done it before, I know what happens. If I let this go, just the way it is right now with oil sitting on top, you come back in half hour, 45 minutes, an hour, it'll actually start leaching through the other side. It'll go the whole way through that piece of wood and come out the bottom. I don't have that kind of time to wait, so we're not gonna do that today, but you can see just how much. I mean, I just put oil in here and that's dry. There's nothing on my finger. Just how fast that soaks that oil up inside this end grain. Get a nice even coat on here to let this soak in. I'll do the edge, we'll flip it over here. Actually guys, there you go. You can start to see it coming through already. This was a dry towel and it's actually starting to seep through the other side, so just that fast. Just look how fast that soaks that in. I don't know if you can see it on camera. I mean, it's just soaking that oil. I mean, that's almost dry already to the touch. Just crazy, crazy fast it'll soak that oil right in there. Very important you get enough in your project. A lot of people will submerge these, and you can do that. It's just a pain because you got to have a container that you can keep clean, have a lid on it. I used to have a tote that was only about 4 inches thick that I kept 3-4 gallon of mineral oil in, but over time you still get dust and particles and stuff like that in it, so it just doesn't work for me anyhow. If it works for you guys, that's fantastic. But let's go ahead and give this a couple more coats and then I'll come back and we'll throw the feet on and call this one done. Okay guys, I got the rubber feet on, put 2 more coats of oil on it, and this one is now done. You can see how cool that end grain, having that little bit of a pattern and flipping your pieces around, just really, really cool. Flip it over, I'll show you the bottom here. Got our feet on. So guys, again, give it a try. Use up some of them scraps, make a little extra money, give them as some gifts, save yourself some money. I hope you enjoyed both these cutting boards, the long grain and the end grain. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video. Be kind to one another, like, subscribe, comment, and I'll catch you next time.